now live.
Live on there?
Live on here.
Good. Check it.
Live on there.
Are you sure?
Positive.
All right, it says record over there.
Yes.
Well, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Unpacking Yakin. It has been quite some time since we've done a podcast. Roland and I are busier than ever.
Difficult to get guests.
Difficult to get guests. I think it's really just been busy. And then obviously the days when we can do guests. We are post-election. It's finally over. Everybody can breathe whichever way you want it. At least it's over. The saga is over. But I am very excited about our guest today. I've been a good buddy of his a minute. You know, I met him a long time ago. I would consider you, and it's all love saying this because we're one, you are a loser about fishing and kayaking. Like, you care a lot, just like we do. Like, I'm like, dude, I'm a dork about fishing. So same as you, but this guy has had a unprecedented 2024. I mean, this guy, it came out of nowhere. Let's go over. I have to say this as the intro so you can understand the accolades he's accomplished, but then also get to know how chill and regular of a person he is through the pot. So he's acclimated these following accolades. So in the Allstarr Fishing Trail, he's had 4 top 5 finishes, a first place at the Classic Championship at LBJ, 2 second place finishes, and then 1 fourth place finish. And those are all like lakes all across Central Texas. It looks like Stillhouse, Choke Canyon, LBJ, all of that. And then my personal favorite fishing trail, which I tried, if I'm going to do a tournament, I like to do these, the West Texas Kayak Fishing Trail. We have a 4 as well, top 5 finishes, and 3 of those 4 are first place, and the other one's second place. So again, it's unheard of, right? So first place at Brownwood with 101 inches, so breaking the Century Club mark. Are they still mouth open or is it closed?
They went to mouth closed.
Mouth closed. Okay, so
the last 2 years.
That's 100 inches mouth closed. Guys in the kayak community understand what that's like. And then KASA here, he did first place with the BigBass Derby at Lake Dunlap, which is dope. And then the Lonestar Throwdown, which is probably the most coveted. Like, everybody gets together to kind of bullshit and hang out all the sticks in Texas. It's like a northeast, south, and west. I haven't yet been able to make it. Manny and I always try to go over here. Something else comes up. But guys, this is JR Macoby here, man. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, man. I appreciate you having me on here. It's an opportunity, and yeah, man, 2024 has been an amazing season and one I'll never forget.
Yes, sir. And then I didn't even mention, sorry about that, because it's not even on here because you have won so freaking much, which is the last thing we texted about. You actually won first place for the Kayak West Texas Championship, correct?
Yes, sir.
The Classic, yes. Yeah. And I think, I don't know, one of the last texts I had, I was like, cool, man, we'll wait till after you win or something. And then you texted me, hey, man, you called it. So that's freaking awesome, dude. So you've just had a great fucking kayak tournament trail year.
Yes, dude. Unbelievable. Like I said, I'll never forget it. And I've been so fortunate to have the outcomes that have, came. So
that's awesome. Oh, pick up your mic a little bit. Cool. So that is, dude, that's fucking awesome, man. So that's awesome. I just wanted to know how serious of a kayak angler you are, but now let's get to know you, because again, not everybody knows you as long as I have. Again, this is your first formal time meeting Roland. Mm-hmm. So who is JR, man? Like, where'd you grow up? When'd you start fishing? Let's start from the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm born and raised in Southern Illinois, a little town called Benton, Illinois. And it's about an hour and a half from St. Louis, I like to put it. That's the nearest major city that most people are familiar with. But grew up bass fishing, man, as early as I can remember, 4 or 5 years old. Started out actually pan fishing, doing the bluegill crappie thing. Requires a little less patience with those kind of species, it seems like, especially as a kid. And then, my dad was a bass fisherman as well, and he fished a lot of tournaments back in the day. And, eventually I got to the point probably about 6 or 7, 8 years old where I started doing some tournaments as well with him. And that's kind of where I got that itch. And ever since, man, just been bass fishing all I can get, started out in a bass boat with him. And then I moved to Texas with my wife in 2017. So I haven't been here too long, but I couldn't afford a bass boat at the time, so kayaks were the next best thing. And I actually owned a kayak in Illinois as well and brought it over here. And then the itch has just been, ever since going strong. I've upgraded some boats, worked in the industry as well, which we'll go over here in a little bit as well. But yeah, man, love fishing in general, and yeah, I was working in the industry. I mean, we can go. I mean, you want to go into the
we can do so much. I just wanted to, like I said, get a formal intro into who you are, where you grew up. So you're from north, man. You're from up north. That's cool. So up in the closest big city you said is St. Louis. And what's the fishing like up there?
Yeah, so it's mainly shallow lakes, a lot of stained water with nothing like we have over here. I mean, Texas is so diverse, right? You got highland reservoirs, you've got all sorts of rivers, all sorts of different types of lakes, but grass fisheries. Back home, it's mainly just shallow mud holes, basically. So, you're literally right up on the cover. You're like inches from bushes dropping baits in the holes. So it's a lot different from what I'm used to, and I've had to adapt over the years. And a lot of that goes back to like Doc Talk. When I moved here, you're trying to gain all this information. Like this is all new to me, you know what I mean? So having to listen in to certain people and who's around you and how they're doing certain things, it seems so different. And like ever since I stopped listening to Doc Talk and just fished my style, it's been, a total difference. And then the success started coming after that, because you start to fish your confidence baits, you start to do your own thing, and it's just a lot better. So that's
more like your recent success is what you're saying. And excuse my ignorance, what is Doc Talk? I'm not familiar with it.
Absolutely. Doc Talk is basically, information you're trying to gather, whether it's before tournaments or buddies or, just recent outings, like, hey, what'd you catch them on? Or what are they biting on? And then you listen to those and then you feel like you have to throw those certain techniques, like nothing else is going to work. And that's just not true. It's about going out there and doing your fishing style and figuring out what works for you and then just running with it. Just kind of block out all the other Doc Talk is what we talk.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Honestly, my dumb ass thought that was a podcast, dude. You're legitimately talking about getting off the water, long day, chill. Whatever you're doing, you see a couple old guys and a young boy like you, and you're like, how was it?
Yeah.
So you're saying that's okay, cool. That's so interesting. That's a very good topic I'd like to get into later. But cool. So from the north, you moved into Texas in 2017. If you don't mind me asking, how old are you now, or when did you make that move? That's such a big move and why Texas, right? So I know I wrapped in a bunch there. So how old are you now? When did you move to Texas and why? What brought you here?
So I'm 30 years old. I was born in 93. And we moved to Texas mainly because we had a big opportunity. Fortunately enough, my in-laws, my sister-in-law, brother-in-law, they were here long before we moved, and they were in a good position, and they offered to, hey, do you guys want to come down here and try to make the move? And this, at the time, my wife was pregnant, so we didn't have any kids, so it was a lot easier to do something like that, just get up and go, whereas now that's not really, realistic.
There's a lot of planning going in.
Right, a lot more planning. So, and back home, there's really not a whole lot to do unless you're like in the medical field or coal mining, or retail, which no one really wants to work in retail their whole life for the most part. And we just had an opportunity that we couldn't pass up, and we saw a lot more opportunity for, at the time, our daughter, when she was pregnant, that when moving to San Antonio, there's so many things to do, so many opportunities to grab. Whatever you want to do, there's something to do, right? So we just seen it as a better decision for the family to get up and move right then when we don't have kids and make it. And man, we never looked back, and we're very fortunate. And we moved in with our in-laws for, I think it was 3 or 4 months, and then we got our first apartment. Dope. And fortunately enough for us, our jobs back home, Gander Mountain and Target, where my wife worked, we just did a transfer. So super easy with the jobs. We didn't have to go job hunting. So it was like one of the most easy transitions. You know what I mean? So it was like one of those things we can't pass it up.
Yeah. It was calculated risk with the ROI well above what you were going to get from your small rural town.
Absolutely.
Where you're from. Dude, that's awesome. It's cool to hear you talk about 7 years ago, years ago, that 2017 was such an important year in my life as well. So it's cool that we have that in common as well. But that you were able to realize the opportunities that a city like San Antonio offers. My wife's really big on that. Like, hey, San Antonio is not only is it the 7th largest city in the country, there is so many opportunities. We have so many programs for underprivileged people, for people. Just you could do whatever. Yeah. I mean, shit. Austin's an hour up the highway, you know, with traffic longer, but, you know, physically about an hour as far as mileage goes. So I think San Antonio is one of the best things that could ever happen to not only my family, just, you know, residing here, but like you said, yourself in general. So that's awesome, man. So you made the move in 2017. And I think that's probably when I ran into you. I want to say the first time I ran into you was at your second job, and we'll get into your job history before we jump into that. I guess, Roland, did you have anything that you know, off the top of your head that you wanted to ask him while I pull up his work history?
Not at all. I'm listening. I'm learning. I was going to throw a little comment in. I mean, can you still afford a boat?
We're getting there, but honestly, I don't really want to own a boat, to be honest. Like
I knew that was going to be your answer. I knew it.
We saw about the resume.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know. It's a lot less headache, a lot less maintenance. Like growing up, I seen my dad working on his bass boat. You know, it seemed like every other weekend. And you know, at the time as a kid, you don't know what kind of you know, financial situation that is. Like if you're ready to take on a boat, there's a lot you need to be prepared for.
Yeah.
I mean, the term is bust out another 1,000.
Yeah. Bust out another 1,000. I was literally going to say that boat.
I don't think I just don't think the only reason I would ever get a boat is for the family outings. That would be it. Like,
and it wouldn't even be a fishing vessel, probably.
Yeah, probably not. No, it'd just be something that they could go out on, puts around on, and we go do some fishing here and there. But mainly just to get everyone in one watercraft. We do got kayaks for everyone in the family once they get to a certain age. But like, the boat deal would be a lot easier.
That's awesome.
You've been working on kayaks for the past 10 years, since 2014, from what we saw on your resume. That's insane.
Yeah, man. It's one of those things, like I love working on kayaks. I love rigging them out. I have a passion about it. So, and anytime you have a passion in work, when they cross over, you're going to do good work, right? Like you care about your product, you care about the reputation. You want to make sure your customers are all taken care of. And yeah, man, I love working on kayaks. It's fun.
So let me ask you this. What is the end goal, like, as far as like working on kayaks? Do you eventually want to get to a point where you can create your own kayak?
I don't see none of those ideas have came to fruition or popped into my head yet. But as of right now, like my goal is, I just started my company, JMOCs Kayak Rigging and Repair, this past summer. And I'm hoping that there's different parts of this company that will come in 2025. Like I want to start guiding locally, and then I also want to bring in rentals as well, like JMOCs Rentals, JMOCs Guide Service, and then have the kayak rigging be my bread and butter, if you will.
Yeah.
So real quick before we jump too far ahead, great question, Roland. Let me go over his work history so I can put some context on Roland saying he's been in the industry for 10 years, right? So like you mentioned in your story that Gander Mountain, and I actually asked the boys, I was like, there's a Gander Mountain here in town, and you know, of course, got flamed for asking that. And they were like, yeah, I was on 151 or some shit like that. So for 2014 to 16, you worked at Gander Mountain. Obviously, that was where you're from, and then you jumped here, and like I mentioned, when we crossed paths was in 2017. So 2017 to 2021 was probably, honestly, as it looks now, until we get out and find them again, the golden era of like kayak, river bass fishing in Texas, I feel like, because it was before we have added 100,000 more straws in the ground. We have a mass migration into the state, right? Post-COVID. So I think those years were some of the golden years for kayak bass fishing on rivers. And that's where I met you at ACK. And I can recollect the first time I met you, but because I would always go, because again, I'm a loser about kayaking, I'd always be like, oh, it's the same motherfucker every time. I could talk to a wall. So I would just start building a relationship with you. And then I remember you'd be at the front, and then we'd talk about the tournaments, because I would sometimes participate in the ACK. Like that was the top of the line. If you could place at Cats, you were, you knew what you were doing, right? So you worked there till 2021. You actually had a short stint here, technically, at Outdoor Alphas when they were partnered with Fin Factory, and then you got back into the kayak, retail side of things with No Bad Days, which you're still technically, kind of associated with them, like I am, in a way.
Still work with them.
And then in July, I've always, whenever you mentioned about it and whenever you talked about it, a big supporter of your own business where you're doing the JMOCs Kayak Rigging and Repair. It's kind of like what I do in the auto world, right? Like you have customers that bring you their boat because they would want you to do the touching and the fabrication and make it look all pretty, and they're just going to pay you for your service and pick it up, right? Or that's essentially what I do with trucks, right? So that's also just another thing that, you know, kind of flows in our commonality there. So how has it been? Like he said, like how has JMOCs been the last 3-4 months?
It's been great, man. Hitting the ground running. I'm actually backed up, which is a blessing. Probably 8 to 10 boats backed up, and then as of yesterday, I had 4 boats at the house that I was working on, and going back to no bad days. I do still work with them, like I'm still doing work orders for them,
cool,
if you will. So whenever they get super backed up, they bring me a couple boats. I'll knock them out for them, and then you know, just call it good. But yeah, JMOCs has been wonderful, man. As far as word of mouth, you know, getting it out there, and then you know, I've had customers from Houston, Waco. It's crazy. People are driving all the way over here. They don't want to work on their stuff. You know what I mean? It's just it's a niche, if you will, and there's not a lot of people doing it. So.
Yeah, and I also, I mean, honestly, you don't need, you just need to put your own fucking company on a shirt and place like you've been doing. You know, you're doing you're the goddamn marketing, the guy behind the scene. You know, so it makes sense, man. Like you said, the niche part of kayak outfitting, if you will, is so niche, and you're kind of like, I could see, let's say, you know, we're talking real far out here, 5 to 10 years from now, I could see you having a pretty solid, sizable company, because as you know, being such a kayak guy, since 2017, the advancement in interest and overall eyeballs on the sport and like crossover ability from bringing motors to plastic boats, like you're gonna be in a first mover advantage, is what it's called, for this thing that I think, again, kayaking, in my opinion, has only, let's say, doubled in popularity year by year by year by, you know, I mean, maybe not, but that's what it feels like. It just seems like I'm driving on 410, and every day when I'm at work, I see 2 or 3 guys with a kayak. Yeah. Because I think affordability / the connection, the intimacy with catching a big fish in a boat at water level, it fuels the addiction, and it fuels the passion. And again, you can still get the dude who wants to fish a lake in a $15,000 boat. And it's plastic. Yeah. Right. Absolutely. So I think the crossover ability, the not having to have a giant storage fee yearly for a boat, the maintenance on a boat. But I mean, fuck, some of these Torquedos and the technology that you'd know more about, you could do 5, 6, 7 miles an hour in a kayak, but also still get to the back of the shit that the boat can't. Dude, it's a perfect storm. And I think you're right there in it, where you're going to be, like I said, 5 to 10 years from now, hell, we might be doing it, you know, out of the JMOC store, right? And which is cool, because you care about kayaking as much as we do. I mean, we have a podcast about kayaking, right? So that's awesome, man. This should be super fun and get a lot of good little nuggets out of you this podcast. So, kind of tying it back to work history, how was it like working at basically the premier kayak store for those years?
Yeah, so like when I started, you know, I moved over here and I was working for Gander, and 3 months after I moved over here, I found out they were closing. So I was like, oh man, that sucks. You know, we get over here, this job's closing. So, hey, okay, let's just adjust and adapt and do what we can do. So I got on Indeed and immediately saw a key holder position opening for ACK here in San Antonio.
What is that, key holder?
Just basically like not a manager, but I'm able to open and close the store, but I don't make the store decisions. So I could still get in or go open for a manager that couldn't make it in that day or whatever. I guess that's just the term, key holder. You have access to the building, but you're not making like the overhead decisions. Cool. So anyway, I called up John Henry Boatwright, at the time was the store manager.
Oh my God, that guy. I forgot about that guy.
Yeah. So I called him up and I told him my situation, and he's like, when can you come in for an interview? And I'm like, oh man, that was easy. You know, like I was asking for the application. He's like, oh, when can you come in for an interview? Because I told him my work history, and he was like, man, this sounds right up our alley.
This motherfucker knows what he's doing.
So I roll in there with I think it was like an 06 or 08 GMC Sonoma. I have a homemade PVC rack up top and the back. I'm rocking a Perception Striker 11.5.
Let's go.
And I go to the interview, you know, and actually Aaron Lowe, the regional manager, was there too. So it was 2 birds, 1 stone. We knocked out the store manager and the regional manager's interview, and right then and there I got hired on the spot. And I was like, oh. He's like, man, you come in here with a
Dude,
homemade
that's
rag.
what I'm saying,
Like,
bro.
you got the
When
kayak.
you see a motherfucker with a guy getting it in, how you
Yeah.
can fit it in, he's like,
Yeah.
that guy likes kayak. It's not even it's not even hard, is it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not
Why look elsewhere? Like,
right.
this
You're
guy's
not
right
some
here.
dude that's like, you know, just pulled up, like, I need a job. Like, dude, you're the
Yeah.
kayak
Yeah.
dude.
So
you
it
know?
just worked out, man.
That's
And
fucking awesome.
I got that job, and then what I was doing, I was working both Gander Mountain and ACK because I was gonna see Gander through and through, like until they closed. So I was doing both jobs. I was working like 7 days a week because we didn't have our kid yet, our daughter. So
and you tell your girl, you're like, look, babe, I told you, opportunities.
opportunity right here. See, like one day, because that wouldn't happen back in Illinois. That
No,
stuff's not there.
no.
So, you know,
Or
that
any
literally-
rural town. Like that's what I love
Yeah.
rural cities. But
Yeah.
like all the West Texas tournament scene
Oh,
cities, bro, it's amazing to
It
get
is.
out. I'm so fortunate to have property out there, but I'm not gonna live there.
Right. Oh, you're not
No
gonna live
fucking
there. There's
way.
just nothing out there, but it's a good getaway.
Yeah.
And you know, going.
So you
off-
were double dipping. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. Double dipping, and I just seen it through, and just right then and there, that was eye opening, right? Like as far as okay, we just moved here. I've already had a job start to close down. I've already picked up another job within the industry. Actually, it's a better gig because now it's strictly kayaks. Whereas before, I was doing the kayaks and fishing, but Gander didn't really carry like your high end stuff, right? They carried a couple different brands that people were familiar with, but they were your entry level. So, getting to ACK, and I always heard about him being a kayak guy, and now I'm working for him. It's like, dude, this is awesome. Here we go.
And you met like two high ups, and you're like,
Yeah.
they love me.
Yeah.
What the fuck is happening?
right? Like, how is this so easy? Like,
Let's
what's
go.
going on?
Yeah, right.
So, man, ever since then, I've stayed in the industry, and I've wanted my hand in the industry, even when I wasn't working like at a retail front. So I would do my own things in between, right, and just keep my hand in it. So. Just so I could stay in the industry, man, and just never look back. I love it.
That's cool, man. That's awesome. Yeah, that the passion that you have for that is how I felt about the auto industry. It was just so fucking cool. It was like, damn, that's dope. But I didn't really want it to be my life because I had the burning passion for kayak fishing since I've been doing it, right? So it was cool to build that. And then also just now slowly, this is more like a passion project. This is more like if I was going to have a footprint in the fishing industry, I'd rather it be this because this is so fun.
Yeah.
Where me, I don't want to like work at a fishing store or
Yeah.
work at a kayak store because I don't want to get super, again, for me, it's different, but this is my passion project where your passion is actually just being the kayak guy. And that's awesome, man. So when did you technically, bringing it back a little bit just before we move forward, when did you first get in a kayak? Because it sounds like you were already in kayaking when you came. I started around my junior, senior year of high school, like actually buying a boat. When did you start kayaking?
I actually got my first kayak, which was that Perception Striker 11.5 in 2014. So we're at a decade now as far as kayak fishing. Before that, everything was either I rarely did some bank stomping, but mostly just fished out of my dad's bass boat with him. So
Gotcha. Okay, so you kind of did the reverse, where most people start on the bank, get a blow up something, then get $100, $200 kayak at Walmart. You started in the top of the line, and maybe not top of the line, but you started in a boat, right?
Yeah, I started.
And
yeah.
starting in a boat is so much different than I'm just looking for the day I had. Yeah, dude, the same. So I bought that stupid Pelican back in 2014. So there you go. So yeah, man, that's about the same time. We were both, you're up north, I was down here, and I was like, dude, kayaking is the way to go. Because I started in a canoe, technically.
Okay,
Like
yeah.
me and my best friend fucking bought a canoe off Facebook for $100.
It's like aluminum.
Like your fucking canoe that you'd find at Bass Pro, like the green one.
Yeah,
with the
okay.
black trim on the top.
Right,
Like that. And we flipped and we never gotten another one. So that's when we got that. So you were doing that in 2014. And then when you came down here, the fisheries up there are just completely different. It's strictly lakes, no rivers or...
Yeah, we didn't do any river fishing. It was all lakes. So when I got here and actually started watching your channel, I Snag and
Dope,
Skinny
dope.
Water Boys, and I got to see you guys catching monsters out of rivers. And I'm like, I didn't even think that was a thing. But here in Texas, boys, they got them everywhere. You know what I mean?
They're
So
fucking all kinds of rivers. Now you're immersed in it. You've seen you've
yeah.
seen double digits out of
yeah,
river.
like it's crazy. Fish that you would never think you'd catch out of a river. You're just because that's just not foreign to me, I guess. Like
Yeah, yeah.
everything came out of a lake back home. So that's what my main target was when I came here. And then I started seeing stuff like that, and I'm like, dude, the kayaks are meant for this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Getting in the rivers, creeks, way back, and going fishing. And I think the very first river I ever put on was the Medina over in Castroville. And
It's not there no more. I'm not even lying. So
yeah,
it's literally
bad.
not there.
Yeah, it's bad shape. But anyway, so I think I caught like a 4-pounder, you know, it took me a couple trips, but when I got acclimated, I was like, oh, you can go catch big fish out of rivers. Heck yeah, you know, and then I was hooked on rivers for a while.
Yeah.
And just strictly did river fishing. And then, you know, because I was in a paddle boat at the time, so I'm not getting out on those big lakes and trying to, you know, battle the wind and whatnot. But yeah, man, it was really cool. And, yeah.
So you started then, and then okay. So ACK is basically like, again, if you're watching this, you already know they were basically the premier store. They got bought out by Big.
What was it?
Big Water Adventures,
something like
that.
Yeah, they're up north.
Up north. So they closed down in 2017 or 2021.
Yeah, into 2021,
post pandemic or post shut down. They shut down because they got bought out, you know, and it was just an opportunity to get out, I guess. And then that's when you started working for here.
Yeah, so it took me a little bit, like maybe it was a quick turnaround. Actually, I started. I reached out to Sam. He had an opportunity over at Rigsby, and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of far, you know." But hey, I need something, so I jumped right over to him. Started working over there, and he was actually currently in the works of getting this spot over here. And the idea was I'll work over in Rigsby for a little bit, and then this place is right down the road from my house, and I'll just switch over to Huebner. And that's what I did. And, you know, then they had the merging with Fin Factory, and then just worked for both and did, you know, fishing sales, and then worked on kayaks over here. And that was the next gig that I had in line. And then we moved to New Braunfels, and it just got to be where that drive was just too far. You know, it just got to be too far with traffic every day, and then you're missing time with your family and stuff. So unfortunately had to walk away, and that's when I kind of started picking up my own thing on the side for a while, which was cool because I was getting a lot of time with my son.
And this was before No Bad Days?
This was before No Bad. This was the stretch before I started with Forrest over there at No Bad.
Roland hit the sensor.
And so, you know, once I did that, I had people, you know, again, reaching out, doing kayak work on the side. And then Forrest hit me up out of nowhere. And I had never met Forrest, and owner of
Cool
No
guy.
Bad. Yeah, really cool guy. And he's like, hey, man, would you want to run a kayak store? And I'm like, out of nowhere, I'm like, hey, I'm interested. You know,
you're like, babe, I told you, Texas for real.
Right, like this just comes to me. The owner just calls me.
Hey, I'm him.
So he's like, man, a couple people have thrown your name in the hat. I want to open up a shop in New Braunfels. I hear you live in New Braunfels. Would you be interested? And I was like, how could this get any better?
What the fuck? You're like, bro, what? You bought me a house too? Let's go.
Yeah. So we got to talking, discussing details. I told him what I had to have as far as like to have a successful business, you know, being fully stocked and all that good stuff. And
because you had the background.
Yes, exactly.
You had already
I
done
had seen kayak shop like ACK, and a lot of it was the pandemic. Like we weren't getting product in, and that was probably the first part of the business going downhill. So I knew like if I don't have product, this ain't gonna work. But you know, fortunately enough, he had the other store, and he had been established for a couple of years. So we came to a deal. We opened up over there at the Texas Ski Ranch right off 35, and that was my next gig for the next year until unfortunately he had to close that store down too.
I just think that was more so the ski ranch.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if he posts, you know, everything's hindsight 2020, but I don't know what the average rate of rent up there was, but what he was telling me he was paying for that's absurd.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I agree.
I think you could have maybe done it out of a damn storage unit, you know, for a little bit if we're, you know, if we had to, but it is what it is, right? He's still in business. We love No Bad Days. I love Forrest. He's up in Pflugerville. I mean, we're still part of the No Bad Days team. You know, I just picked up the Mirage from you Thursday morning. So, and I was wondering, I was like, man, I'm trying to be real quiet, you know, just came in, took it off, put it up. And it was so cold turkey that I've got my own story to tell about, like getting on it for the first time. I was like, bro, this is crazy. Like it's just completely, I've been a bona fide guy forever. So I think I bought my first bona fide from you at
the
ACK.
SS107.
Yeah, the SS107.
Was it the green?
No, I had the orange before they discontinued it.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Did he sell me my kayak at ACK?
Probably. I mean, yeah, I would assume.
I think you did. I think you did.
Likely, probably I did. Because
Yeah.
like I said,
He's
I was there
him,
from
buddy.
2017
If
to
you have been
21,
listening.
they closed. I seen it through and through. So
I think it was him that sold me my kayak. Holy shit.
Yeah. He's Himothy. Again,
Dude,
pay attention, bro.
there's like people that'll come up to me and like, hey, do you remember selling me a boat? And I'm like, I don't. I'm sorry. I've sold so many boats. But what did you get? Funny. And then we'll talk about it, and I'll remember it. You know,
right.
It's funny. It's cool.
That's awesome, man. And again, I think you putting pen to the paper as far as like, I mean, dude, you're going out and performing in these tournaments, and I know now, you know, I know you've got the full get up, right? I know you've got the Hobie. I know you've got the screens. But I know you could do it without them. You know what I mean? Like, and I know some of those just based on, you know, watching some of the clips that you post about, like, hey, these are the 5 fish I caught. I would say over half, you're just doing what you do. You're not looking at the screen.
No.
I like in Brownwood again. We can if you don't want me to, if you want me to take out what I feel like I saw from your videos, we can. But I just felt like you were junk fishing around docks.
Junk fishing, yeah, 100%.
And I just think that's, I mean, that
it's more special.
Watching your videos, I'm like, this motherfucker. He's junk fishing. He's got the gear to get 40 feet deep offshore. But I mean, you're throwing a chatterbait in and around a dock.
Yeah, well,
that's what you do on the river. Throw a chatterbait in and around logs, in and around cover, in and around rocks. Like it, you were just literally like you mentioned before, which I want to get back on. Now we can. Good way to tie it in is you mentioned dock talk, right?
Yep.
You said you started having huge success when you just did what you were comfortable with.
Absolutely, and so like going back to that question, like as far as electronics and stuff go, like. The fishing world, you know, everyone's got to have the high dollar stuff, have the big screens, have you know, the live sonar nowadays. But you know, as far as, and I've got a Lowrance Elite 9 Ti. It's an older unit. It doesn't have live sonar. I don't live scope. I fish I fish instinctually. You know what I mean? And,
for sure, fish IQ.
And you have to, because you know there's so many different things that could happen on a fishing day, whether it's weather, the lake changing. I mean, there's so many things that you have to key in on visually. And if you're looking at a screen all day, you're gonna miss so many things.
You're saying I was literally gonna say fishing with your eyes. I think is so underrated.
It is. You know, it's like what do they say? Like the bank beating's the new offshore. Like I don't want to be out there off the shore. I don't want to be way off the bank. These fish, especially here in Texas, they are shallow and they're aggressive eating fish, and there's no need to go out there. At least, and I've kind of proven that. I want to be humble, but
yeah. No, I don't think you're out of line saying it, because I think that's where the fish are.
Yeah.
I hate that bank busting is the new offshore, because no. Todd, stay offshore. You know, I'm just kidding. Keep going out there. Throw your little Ned rig, homie, in 40 feet of water on a rock ledge, and let me get up in the fucking chipper wall, skip some shit under the rock. Like let me get, you know, let me catch one slipping, you know, where he should be, right? So, and that's cool, man. I like that. You know, you're a successful kayak tournament angler. That, like I said, you have all the stuff you need to be successful if that's what the day called for.
Yeah.
But more times than not, I feel like, based on the videos you're posting, as long as I've fished, as long as I've known you, you're just literally having success fishing the way you have success. You're not. You're just being you.
All the videos I've posted, it's on the bank, right? Like
you're like fucking on the bank with a Hobie, PA,
I could touch the bank with the rod.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So, and a lot of guys that nowadays, you know, have these $10,000, $15,000 setups, and they're out there sitting there. I'm just like, man, just keep staying out there. I'll catch these fish over here. I'll be boat flipping them hand-to-hand combat, you know, because a lot of times, like when you catch these fish up shallow, it's from here to the wall, which is like 5 foot away, 6 foot away. So there's no time to go for the net. You're putting them right up in your lap. You know what I mean? And that's a fun way of fishing. You know, it's super exhilarating. It's super exciting, and
not gonna get that in a boat. And I think that's why, you know, not only, again, you can make a kayak the price of a boat.
Oh yeah,
it's not. You could buy a $20,000 boat, take the Bonafide XTR, put all the best of the best shit, put 2 fucking live sonars right at your feet. You can have a $20,000 plastic boat, but I just think that's all fine and dandy. It's cool. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, cool. I'd rather, you know, have it and not need it than need it and not have it. But in the reality of fishing these Texas tournaments, even when it's like fucking 20 degrees outside, you'll catch one slipping in a foot of water on the bank, and they fight hard because they're pissed. Yeah, they didn't expect you to think they were there. Yeah, and you're like, oh, come on, you know? Yeah. And I actually Googled it the other day, random side topic, is I was like, why do fish feed so much better in low pressure, right? Because I'd never actually, obviously you hear that. I didn't know the science behind it. Apparently it's because the low pressure makes their stomach ache. and they want to eat. And if they feed as the low pressure is coming in, there's a bunch of just random studies about it. When the low pressure starts to move in, they start to get really, really, let's eat, because if my stomach's full, it won't hurt. So that's why, which is hilarious.
I've never heard that. Yeah,
but I do want to make like a video where it's like me just Google searching why fish, and then like a rainy, cloudy day, boom,
right,
you know. So just
smoking.
cut it to a explosion. But yeah, man, that's cool, man. That's awesome. What would you say is your favorite tournaments, like scene, like the trails rather, the scene?
I think West Texas this year for me especially, like I get to meet my brother at these tournaments, so it's like a win-win. Like even if I don't do good or we don't perform or whatever, at least I get to spend time with him, which is cool because he's up there 6 hours away north, so I don't get to see him all the time except for these tournaments. And I think and there's a lot of good competition over there in West Texas. There's guys that do good nationally that fish that trail, so the competition's there. And then just like I said, and honestly, they run a really tight ship over there. It's a good trail, and they've been well established, been doing it for years. So.
Yeah, and in my opinion, they're the most fun, just because everybody's laid back.
Yeah,
some of the Central Texas, some of the because I will say, man, you are giving tournament kayak fishing hope in a way, because as you know, the last 3 to 4 years have been shitty with cheating, with why waste the time? Why waste the money? Why waste the energy if some asshole's cutting the tails off of fish, right? Like, you know what I mean? You're taking time away from your family. Yeah, it's a passion. You're also getting to see family, so it's a family affair. But the tournament scene as a whole, pre-2023, 2024, I felt like was getting a bad rap. It was like you're putting all this time in to just get cheated out. Yeah. Right. And then you have that. There was even like some national tournaments where there was people that were pushing the boundary of the legal boundaries. But because you have a boat that could go over a log jam, is that legal? Right. Like there's a lot of stuff that's happened in the kayak tournament scene. It's been kind of like, in my opinion, I wouldn't want the entry fees, the boats, what you need, what the rigs, what they cost nowadays. And to see you, just like I said, do well, have success, be just a normal, kayak loving guy. And then watching your videos after you post them, because unfortunately I don't get to go to a lot of these things anymore. Just watching you fish, like literally where I would fish after not practicing, after never having a practice day, just fucking showing up. That's what I would do. I would just, I like fishing the Kayak West Texas team or the tournaments, even in a paddle boat, boat where I'm paddling, because that's why I'm gonna fish anyways. Yeah, I'm gonna let the dude with a $20,000 boat go 8 miles away. I'm gonna catch fish where I can paddle and get where they aren't. So that's cool, man. That's awesome. Like that's I think that's really good for the kayak community. And again, just being a wholesome guy that loves working on it. And then, like I said, I think you could just put your damn logo on a shirt and win a couple tournaments. Right. And then just kind of, and I did it because of this light right here, whatever. Just mark it. But that's cool, man. So what, let's see, what would you say is your favorite lake to fish, as of late? Cause I know, like you mentioned, the rivers are drying up. We all know that, but what's your best fishing lake, would you say currently?
Currently, man, I'd say my favorite lake in Texas is probably Choke Canyon. Just the wildlife and just being way out there. And then obviously it's got giant bass. I think I caught, and I don't have it on a scale, but I had a 24 1/4 out there during a tournament this year, and my biggest was 9.9 weight wise, and this one I felt bigger, but the scale broke on me as soon as I went to lift it. The chain snapped, so I was trying to.
Dang, man, that's a double digit right there, buddy.
I was like, man, I know it's a double digit, but I can't call it a double digit because it's not on scale. So I think it was my PB, but I can't say it for sure just because.
Dang, I guess you just got to go do it again, buddy.
I know. that fish actually came out of 8 foot of water right in the middle of this big standing timber. I stood up and everything. I got it on video. Flipped up in it. I felt that thump, and I set the hook, and you immediately start to hear that line just take off. And I'm like, okay, I've been able to pretty much rip every fish out of the water today. This one I couldn't do it, and it came up, and I'm just like big-eyed. I'm like, oh my God. I tried to boat flip it twice because I didn't know how big it was. And I'm like, dude, you ain't boat flipping this. Get the net.
So you netted it.
So I got the net out and got her in, and it was a true giant.
Nice.
That was really special.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. That's too cool. What are you going to say, Roland? I know Roland's over there.
Yeah. Any encounters with gators over there in Choke Canyon?
Every time I go, I see multiple gators. Never had any close calls, and I've been like, so a lot of kayakers don't like fishing the river portion, the 99 bridge area, because I mean, there's not a lot of water, right? So
and there's not a lot of water, and there's a lot of gators.
You can't turn around real quick. So you know, going up there's been some instances where I've been like a cast away from what I didn't know was under grass mats and throwing frogs over top of gators, and they freak out and throw these huge thrashes, and that's kind of been scary. But they never come, they don't get close. They go the opposite way. You never have issues. As long as you're respectful to the wildlife and you're not rolling up on them, then, you know, you're good. You can just watch at a distance and just see how they are, man. It's really cool.
What's the biggest gator you've seen there? I hate alligators. I'm terrified of them.
He thinks about them in his sleep.
I see. Maybe like a 10, 12 footer. I don't know if I've seen like a true big, like giant. I mean, those are big gators, right?
Yeah.
It would take one even that size to do whatever it wanted to. But I don't think I've seen like your upper 13, 14, or 15. I think the record's 15 or something like that, foot long. But probably 8 to 10 footers for sure.
I mean, I'm terrified of the water because of alligators.
Yeah. Well,
Like
don't go there, then I guess.
Yeah, don't go there,
You're gonna see
buddy.
him.
Yeah. I'm always fascinated by not only just you said the river section of the lake, bro. We fished rivers with fucking gators, and that's fucking Manny's accidentally caught a gator one time on a frog, like with us at
San
San Antonio.
San Antonio River. I seen that video.
And I was like, dude. Like the rest of the day, we were like,
oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because I was a baby. So where's that fucking 12, 13-foot mom?
Yeah, you put 2 and 2 together, you're like, oh, wait, that's the baby.
Yeah,
where's the mom?
And that's not
dude?
a pet because you could tell.
Was that by Missions?
No, we were way south of town, like out by Falls City.
Okay.
And so it's and I think Falls City, they actually named it because of the waterfalls on that stretch of river. Super pretty. Like
But there's alligators in there.
But there is alligators. We had no idea. And when we started getting to the falls, and we made a video on it in Falls City, and it's pretty nice. Like the San Antonio River turns into like kind of like the upper Medina back when there was water, like clear pads, rocks, waterfalls, gators, you know, shit
Cool
like
scenery,
that.
yeah.
But we didn't catch shit. Like we did.
Yeah.
Three guys who
wasn't
I
good.
feel like are some of the better river guys in
you're gonna
Texas.
catch 'em.
We didn't catch much. Like I think Travis caught a nice fucking topwater catfish, which was awesome, and then on a spook, and then Manny caught the frog or the gator on a frog, and I want to say we caught a couple of 2 or 3 pounders in obvious spots below an eddy, below a waterfall.
High percentage.
But it wasn't. We didn't really get on them. So I don't know. But the water it had everything, right?
Yeah.
Wildlife, all that. So.
Right.
That's cool, man. So what the one thing I did want to bring up is like I think it's cool that you said you learned to love river fishing, but then you've also learned to kind of love and be successful at lake fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Have you taken stuff you've learned? You say you stopped listening to Doc Talk. Would you say you pulled more from the shit you were doing in rivers to catch on lakes, or are you just applying, what's the word I'm looking for? You're applying techniques that work on a river at the lake level. Like, how do you feel like you're being successful out there?
Yeah, I think a little bit of everything plays into it. So like a lot of these tournaments, I have not been able to go pre-fish. Like Brownwood, for instance, I had never even seen the lake. I was just going to go fish conditions. And usually when you fish conditions, you're already going to be putting yourself in a better position because a lot of people, they have these preconceived notions, whether it's from pre-fishing or Doc Talk again, or videos or whatever. They have this idea and then they're going to go stick to the game plan. But it's like, man, you got to be willing to adjust because what if the water levels have changed or the color's not the same or, whatever it may be. So for me this year, I have literally just, okay, what's the wind? What's the weather? Let me go fish. This is seasonal patterns right now. Let me go fish these areas. And then I'll adjust out on the water on the fly. And it's just, that's been a huge world of difference as far as being successful and instead of being stubborn and trying to stick to the original game plan of what I thought I was going to go do versus what I should be doing. So I think it just ties into a little bit of everything as far as the success and just being able to adapt.
Yeah, no, I think that was my biggest takeaway of what you just said there is being able to adapt and overcome. Because I do think successful tournament kayak anglers are able to adjust on the fly because I've seen, as you've seen, that you get there, you get there day of, conditions change. You get there and what you were like Ivy, for instance. Ivy's a 3-day lake. you have to give Ivy 3 days, or just hope that the day you can go is the one of the 3 days that it's on.
Yeah.
Because that's how Ivy fishes, and it's straight conditions. So it's like if you get there and it's, you see them busting shad, you better just throw top water, because that's where they are, right? That's where they are. Throw shad in top water to get bit. And then, like you said, you fish lakeside unseen. I think that's almost an advantage, because then you don't have those preconceived notions. You, like you said, just get out there and you're like, well, fuck, what am I gonna do? Like, what's there to lose? When you fish like you don't have anything to lose, that's when you can, I think, be deadly, because you get the guys that have been there for 3 days. The older guy who's retired, who's like, hey, I've been on them.
Yeah.
But there wasn't wind, and day of there's wind. Well, you can count him out, right? Just because he's not gonna make the adjustment, he's gonna be a stubborn individual. So it just depends. But that's awesome, man. Like I said, dude, kudos to what you've accomplished in 2024. I hope you can roll over and have some success like that in 2025. I'll be rooting for you. I'll definitely try to go up and compete with you once or twice if I can, having our son, in the next 2 fucking weeks or so. But I definitely do. I like to make it out to Brady, because that's where we have, family property. I love to go to Ivy because, I've been fishing that lake since before it was popular. That's why I proposed to my wife, which is hilarious. Saying that, they're like, really? Yep. And it looked like shit when I did. It didn't look like nothing like it does now. Right. And then Brownwood, dude, I've never fished Brownwood either. I've been to the lake twice to watch the fireworks, never been there to fish, which is, so that's funny. I definitely want to, and they just got pounded with rain.
Yeah, they did. They got a lot more water in the system. Actually, Ivy caught some water. A couple different lakes up there caught quite a bit of water.
Nice. So I guess Roland threw up a time there. I know we've got limited time on this. So let's see. The last thing I wanted to get into, just to kind of leave something with people to...
We got 14 minutes. It's 45.
Gotcha. Wait, what?
We have 45 minutes recording.
Oh, okay. Oh, beautiful. Okay, go. My bad. Then never mind. I was like, damn, we only got 15 minutes left on the memory card. No, good.
No. We got plenty of time on the memory card.
Beautiful. Okay, so...
I was just saying before we hit an hour.
Gotcha. Dope. Okay, so let's get back into that then. Let's talk about the tournament fishing, because I think that is, like I said, just hearing somebody's thought process that's been successful is what I like to, I want to touch base on. I would rather this be like a kayak guys, pod, in the sense of you fucking know what the hell you're doing out there. So what would you say, because tying into your business and fishing, being a successful kayak angler, tournament angler, what would you say are some of the things that you have utilized the most to make your day easier that are services that you provide at the business?
Are you talking in regards like certain accessories?
Yeah, certain accessories, how you have found things like, and I have something to say about that after, but like for you, what has worked for you? It's a service you offer that you feel like that was irreplaceable for the day of water. For the day on the water.
Right. So like with my setup, I run a Hobie Pro Angler 14360, just for reference. And I try to keep it minimal. I don't like putting everything, all the bells and whistles like most people. Now I run a motor, I run one graph. I've got 2 batteries on board. That's it. A lot of these setups I'm seeing nowadays, I'm just like, I don't even know how you function with all those things in your way, or when you're landing fish or having to create a certain cast, like this is in the way. So for me, over the years in building these boats and all these different installs and builds I've gotten to the point where I'm actually taking less and leaving a lot of stuff off, because I don't want to deal with all the headaches and other things that could come from all that stuff on your boat. So I try to keep it minimal, and and that's the beauty about kayak fishing is you could just take your rods and tackle and be successful, or you can have a $15,000, $20,000 setup and still be successful. But you don't need all that stuff. And I think honestly, it kind of creates more of a headache and a little bit more stress throughout the day when you have so many things in front of you and so many things going on. And now people that have all this money in like electronics, most of their day is looking down at a screen. You know what I mean? So they're missing a lot of stuff, and that could really hurt you. It could outweigh the benefit that it would have on certain days. So, I mean, for me, I think just keeping it minimal and don't have a lot of stuff to go wrong in your day is already going to set you up for a little bit better success. And then just concentrating on the fishing. Like, don't be worrying about, other things on the boat, power or electrical stuff or taking all these things. You don't really need all that stuff. So just keep it simple and go out there and fish and just concentrate on fishing. That's been the biggest thing.
That's a badass answer. So what it seems like, man, is because again, I mean, you moved in 2017. They were already doing the cats tournament scene. I have felt like I've seen a dramatic rise in the cost of things. Not just like, we're not talking economically. I'm just saying the way the boats look. The way the boats used to look rigged in 2017 look completely different than how the boats look rigged in 2024. You know, you've got people that are doing the national bass tournaments or the FLW tour or whatever. I'm very ignorant to the names and all that, because it's just a world I'm not a part of.
Of course you are. Of course you're ignorant.
I'm not a part of that world, so I don't know but like the tournaments that Rolando does and the tournaments that what's his name, Jacob Mueller, which I want to have in here for sure, that he does. Drew Gregory, the Gene Jensen, whatever the fuck those tournaments are, dude. Those guys' setups, I mean, it's insane. It's like
It is.
Compared to what the top tier tournaments were in 2017. I mean, dude, you're taking a Diablo out there with 5 rods, maybe a screen, and people like Guillermo are killing it. We're killing it, and still are with that. He probably has a little bit better setup than that, but I mean, he was successful back then with minimal gear. So I think that's cool. It's always good to have a little bit better of an advantage, whether it's technologically or a rod or whatever. But like you said, and I think you hit it on the head, is having like a screen here when you need to do a skip cast because you just saw 5 fish get blown out the water, but you can't cast. You can't make the cast like this, but you have to do it like this. Absolutely. But you can't because you have 2 14-inch fucking things in your way. You know what I mean? So that's cool. I feel like you're probably one of the first hybrid, what I would call a hybrid kayak angler to have success, because you're realizing I don't need to have the fully electronic version or the fully manual version. I'm in the middle. I'm a hybrid. I got a little bit of gear and a lot of fish IQ. Where you see some guys, they got out of the bass boat game, so now their ego is more. And I'm not saying this is everybody, but it's in the automotive community. You got the guy who has a $20,000 lift that's never going to use it because he can afford it, not because he's going to utilize it. So the same thing in the kayak world.
Same exact
You
thing.
see the guy that's got the $20,000 setup with a fucking Super Duty that I painted, and you see him out there and he might not catch that much, right? And then you roll up or I roll up in a fucking 2012, F-150, just fucking unload and kick ass and take names, like that. I think you're always going to have that in every industry. You're always going to have the dude with 7 GoPros and no footage. You know what I mean? It is what it is, right? Or you're going to have like us, like where it's just like, damn, I got 1 GoPro, 3 batteries. I'm on the DJI kick right now. I'm sorry, GoPro, you have lost me. The overheating issues, the amount of lenses you have to. It's just. And our good buddy Brandon had put me on the DJI because I know they were the ones doing the drones, but then when I finally got to see like the footage in person, I have the DJI 4, I forgot what it's called other than the number, but crystal clear footage, amazing low light performance, and awesome audio. It's $400, but it comes with a 3-pack charging pack, each of those batteries, because again, you got 2024 batteries now, not GoPro Hero 8 batteries, which is what I had before I bought this. And each of those batteries is lasting an hour and a half. So then you could bring a portable charger, keep it running. You got batteries on your boat, so you could have constant footage. But yeah, man, I mean, you're always going to get that. You're going to get the YouTuber with all the gear that doesn't make good content. And then you got the guy who has this camera and the passion for it and really good at editing and,
and boom.
Something like Manny, just makes really high quality edits, and he doesn't have a crew. He doesn't have the John B, the Grant Landmore like funding behind it, because he's just on his own type deal. So they both make great videos, but they both get their videos completely different ways. Same way fishing, right? Absolutely. You could have success having a crazy setup, but you can also just have success literally showing up day of a pack of fucking worms and a frog. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's so awesome about kayak fishing, is the opportunity to be successsul isn't always limited to the gear you have. So it's really more about you.
Yeah, I'd agree. Like, so going back to, like some bass boaters that jump out of the bass boat and they get into the kayak, they're like, man, how much stuff can I carry? And I'm like, they want to take the full works because they're coming from a bass boat, so they feel like they need all that stuff. And I'm like, well, you're going to have a different mindset first and foremost, because there's just not that much space. You cannot do it. You're going to have to cut things, and you're just going to have to take your confidence stuff and what you're good at, and then maybe kind of tweak it, here and there. But yeah, it's too many times where they're like, oh, I want like 2 or 3 graphs. I'm like, whoa, like first off, you got to realize these graphs are going to take up a bunch of space. You're going to need a lot of battery storage, and then plus all of your other rods, reels, gear, cooler, everything else, right? Motors if you get them, which it seems like most people are getting motors nowadays. So yeah, I've just seen too many times where people want the full works and it's not practical. It's just not. They're wanting to try to transfer everything from their bass boat over to the kayak, and it's not needed. It's not necessary. And I think you could still be very successful without all that stuff.
Absolutely. I think so too. So what I was going to say is, I went and picked up, because again, we are both affiliated with No Bad Days. You've had the new boat that I was going to try out for the next couple of months. I loved the Bonafide I had. What is it? It was the P127. Yep. Loved it. I love Bonafide. I mean, I'm a Bonafide guy. He has Bonafide. I got Bonafide. The thing is, it was about 150 fucking pounds with the drive and everything, right? Not really, but it felt like that. I mean, it was definitely over 100. Mm-hmm. So when we were doing some of the marketing with the No Bad Days ski ranch location before they closed down, I had seen the Mirage. I fucking picked it up and threw it in the water. We did a little bit with forgot his name. Roland would know his name.
Deadleg.
Yeah, Deadleg. We were like, it's so easy, he could do it or whatever, and we threw it in, and we did like a whole thing, and like we're joking about it. And I saw him go, and I was like, damn, that's dope. So like, other than that day, I had never had it in my possession. Coming from a Bonafide, I didn't really know what to expect. I picked it up at your house at like 5:30 in the morning. Like I made it to where I wanted to go, and it was cool because I got to like realize, there ain't shit for storage. But if you had, and I'll make a video on it, but there's things that I'm going to take next time that'll help me be successful. But what I like about it is you have the little bit of the tech to kind of pedal your way through dead water, if you will. Focus on the good water where the fish are eating and actively, where they are. And but you also have to be minimal. Like, I can't take 5 or 6 rods like I was on the Bonafide. I could take maybe 3, right? Because I don't want to always hold one. And I've got 3 rod holders in my J crate, or I could possibly put a third or a fourth somewhere else. But I like that it kind of it's going to challenge me to, especially with having another child on the way. I'm going to have 5 to 8 hours to fish. It's not like I'm going to be able to go 2 days away, go fish for a day, pre-fish. So I like that it's lightweight. I can throw it. Throw it in the back of the truck. It's got all the coolness and the it factor of the paddleboard, because it's literally a stiff paddleboard essentially, but it's also a kayak. It's quick, it's nimble, and there's some adjustments I need to make because, again, I found some fish. I was getting pulled around by some fish in a little ass light boat, so it's different. So it's cool, man, and those are the things. This next trip, I'm going to adapt, and I think it's going to be money. Because now I know what I need. Now I know I need another fucking dry box for my electronics, like my phone, my keys. Like, I was like, dude, if I flip, fuck, I'm going to have to Uber all the way to San Antonio.
Everything's going in the water.
Yeah, like, it's different. And it's going to be hard to flip. But also, the big thing I noticed, which what I will say, dude, if you're not on that damn mat, you will bust your ass, especially in a set of Crocs. Oh yeah, like the mat is really just like a 3x2 square-ish, right, shaped to the boat. So I like stepped on the hard plastic in some Crocs, and I was like, oh my god, dude. So there's some adjustments, but that's cool, man. Well, shoot, Roland. What else do you think? What else you got for him? What did you think of anything?
I mean, you pretty much covered everything I thought of, so.
Nothing?
I mean.
Trying to get you involved, big dog? I can talk to JR forever.
Yeah, I mean, you can.
Okay, I got you.
Okay.
Like,
you got this, bro.
Yeah, I got this, man. So, when did you realize this tournament season that you were like, damn, of the competition that's out there, I mean, I'm up there. Like, what made you, what has been your confidence baits going out to help you realize, like, bro, I can kind of roll with these guys?
Yeah, if you give me 3 bait, let's just do 3 baits. Okay. If you gave me a chatterbait, a frog, and a flipping stick, you can go get it done. And if you had to have a 4th, like a swim bait, just for the big bait factor, and you
something
can
to pull them out so you can see where they are.
Exactly. Those would definitely be my lineup right there. But as far as like the success this year, so it really started back in February at the BigBass Derby over at for KASA, Kayak Angler San Antonio, on Dunlap. And the funny thing about that, I'll tell a little story here. So I was working at No Bad, and I had to open that morning. So Forrest had something to do, so he couldn't take off. So I was like, well, I want to fish this tournament, so let me go out for the first 3 hours, and then I'll go work the store. So I go out for 3 hours. I end up catching a 17, and I come back and work the day. And then I'm like, hey, they're getting ready to go do the weigh-in for us. I'm going to close the store for like 30 minutes to an hour or whatever, however long as it takes. And we also gave some like awards away at the tournament, so it was like a work thing too. Mm-hmm. And we sponsored that trail. And it just come to find out, I roll in there and they're like, hey man, did you catch anything? I was like, yeah, I got a 17. They verified it. They seen that it was good. And they're like, oh, well, you're leading right now. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I've been working all day. I had 3 hours out on the water. How's no one caught a bigger fish than a 17?
Or multiple. It was just one?
Yeah, it was just one.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
It was 117. So,
and it was on Lake Dunlap.
It was on Lake
And
Dunlap.
it was full.
It was full.
Oh, because there's a weird transitionary time for the body of water.
Right. So yeah, it was, I don't even know how long it was before it got full. But anyway, it was definitely in full pool, and it was back in February. And I get there and they're like, yeah, no one else has a bigger fish than that. And I'm like, holy cow. Okay. I wouldn't have expected that, but hey, that started off the season, right?
That's fishing.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of what started the season off. And then I jumped into Allstarr, and really
where is Allstarr? Let's talk about that. Since it's just basically tournaments, this one, we'll have you on again. I mean, like I said, I could talk to you about, we could talk about fucking boats only for 2 hours.
Oh, yeah.
So the Allstarr scene, where is that? Who runs it? What's it about? So KASA's here in town, Kayak Anglers of San Antonio. It was started by the late Eric. He's no longer with us, and I think Chris runs it now.
Yes.
Right? Filetto?
That's true. Yes.
Okay, so Chris runs it. Okay, so now tell me about Allstarr.
Yeah, so Allstarr is more like centrally located in Texas. They're more Austin-based, if you will.
Okay.
They fish most of the lakes around here, but they will like have maybe 1 or 2 on the schedule that are a little bit further out. Hector Lopez, he's the TD. He runs that trail. And like I said, it's more of like just centrally located, whereas like, you've got trails all across Texas, West Texas, North Texas, they're all over, but that's more centrally, regionally located. So it's easy to go out and fish those, especially as like a day trip as a father. I can't be, staying 2 or 3 days away all the time, every tournament. So,
and where are the lakes located? Or like, what are the lakes? Do you remember all of them? If you, not all of them, but just a general area. Yeah.
So we did Lady Bird and Lake Austin was the first one. That was a Roadrunner event in February. Terrible conditions. We had storms that day. I think it got actually canceled midday, the tournament. So he had to call it. And then we went over to the 4 Lake Shootout, which was in April. That was Lake LBJ, Buchanan, Inks, and Marble Falls. Fortunate enough to get second place there. And that's kind of what I thought, really sparked the season. So like I had won the Big Bass Derby, then I got second place here, and I'm like, oh, I'm on a little roll. Let's see how long we can go ride this momentum. And I just had the confidence, and it was there, and never really slowed down.
Nice.
And third, Stillhouse Hollow, located over in like Central Texas.
I've never fished that lake.
It's a grass fishery. It's a highland reservoir, but it's got a lot of grass. It's super clear in certain areas.
Rocks.
And, rocky,
cool.
Rocky banks, riprap banks. But it was low at the time we fished it, and then like the next month, TXKBL was out there, another trail, and the water came up past full pool, so everything was like blown out, muddy, nasty. Picnic tables were in water and stuff. But,
I remember seeing that.
Yeah. So that's the one that Jake won. Jake Moeller had like 107, ridiculous day.
Golly, that motherfucker! I got to get him on. He's such a cool guy.
He's a cool cat. Yeah. Another local guy. But,
local.
Yes, and then we went over to I think they did one on, was it Belton maybe? They may have had one over in Belton.
Yeah, I've never fished there
one.
either.
Yeah, I didn't fish that one. But just more centrally located. And then our championship was on LBJ.
And then I'm sorry if you already said it. I didn't hear it. Who runs it? Do you know?
Yeah, Hector Lopez.
Hector Lopez.
Yeah,
cool.
He's out of Austin.
Okay, cool. Nice. I don't think I've ever met him or heard of him.
Yeah, great dude. I think he's been running the trail. I think this is their second or third year.
Nice. Yeah. And so these are like the top trails within the Central to South Texas area.
Yeah,
because cats is no longer a thing.
No longer. Yeah.
And I mean, these are the it trails.
These are the trails if you're wanting to fish locally. There's trails all over Texas that you could do if you're willing to drive, but if you're wanting like a day's trip, look at the Allstarr Fishing Trail.
Okay.
KASA obviously puts on some events here and there. And then there's ones way out in west and like I said, east too. So
sweet. So now the West Texas Tournament Trail, I'm pretty familiar with them, but for those of our listeners that aren't, who runs that one, where is it located, and you know some of the rivers or the lake systems that you fish in that, and how they differ. They're very different lakes from the Highland Reservoir. So I'll let you go in on that.
Yeah, very different. So located out in West Texas, I'd say the majority of their crowd is like San Angelo based, up to Lubbock. So there's some areas in between, but they fished Amistad. That was their season opener.
Did you go?
I did not.
Gotcha.
That's one of the ones I missed, unfortunately. And then they went over to Brownwood.
Okay.
And then Brady.
Cool.
What else did they go to? Lake Leon was the championship. And then,
where's that at? I've never fished that one.
It's you know where Eastland, Texas is? No, it's kind of up there. It's like 4.5 hours away from New Braunfels, where I was at.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of way up there. It's I would guess maybe like halfway between, is it Lubbock and Fort Worth, somewhere up in the middle there?
Oh, so it's like in the middle.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's up there. But
and what's that like? What's that fishery like?
It's kind of like a shallow, stained water, kind of more my style, if you will.
Nice.
Like I don't particularly like fishing clear water. I can do it. You know, I can adapt, but I'd rather have like a stained, shallow.
That's the difference between the Highland reservoirs and places that don't have grass and or just the like type of earth that's out there. It's more sandy. It's more dusty.
Yep.
Brady's always going to have like a brown tinge.
Yeah.
Ivy's going to be either tingy or crystal clear. It just depends on the
day.
Yeah, on the day or the flooding or the grass. Where the majority of the Highland reservoirs, Inks, LBJ, all those are going to be your grassy, you know, canyon, grassy, clear, clean, completely different types of fisheries.
100%.
And then of course, let's see, they have the San Angelo Roadrunner is always a unique perspective because you can fish rivers, lakes, and basically any body of water. How does that work?
Super fun event. That's probably my favorite every year annually that they do there. And like you said, it's just diverse. You can go fish a river, a creek, or you can go fish, you know, a lake, whatever fits your style. And I think so I picked Twin Buttes, and I usually fish Twin Buttes. It's a lake over there in San Angelo. And my brother won it one year there, and then I won it this past year there. And another cool story I'll tell you about that tournament. So Eddie Morris, there was a tournament a couple years back that me and him tied, right? We tied at a tournament. We both had like 92 3/4. And I had the bigger bass, so I got the bigger place. Well, this year, we fished San Angelo, and both of us, I think he picked the same lake, so we were on the same lake during that Roadrunner event, and we come into the weigh-in, and they draw the top 3 guys up there, and they call third place, and me and him are standing up there, and I'm like, oh, you and me, Eddie, again, huh? And he had a late-day coal that was after the leaderboard shut off, and I had a late-day coal. I dropped a 22 on him, though, and that's a dagger. You know
Yeah,
like,
22 is tough, yeah.
So I catch that in like the last hour and a half, and I never told a soul. I didn't tell my brother. I didn't tell my buddies. I was like, I want to see their jaw drop. It was super, super fun. So we get into the weigh-in, and we go up there, and they call second place, and they're like, hey, this was actually a tie. And I'm thinking, no way. We just tied. We both had 99.5.
Again?
Yeah, me and him, the same dude. So I'm like, oh, man, Eddie, we tied again. Okay, so who's got the bigger bass? And fortunately enough, I had the bigger bass.
That guy's gunning for you next
so I was
year,
like,
dude.
And he's an older guy, and he's a great dude. And I was like, Eddie, do you remember what happened a couple years ago? He goes, JR, yes, I do. You did it again. And that was really cool experience, man. That was probably my best memory of this year as far as the tournament goes, just because how it all laid out. And then I didn't tell anybody at the weigh-in, and my brother and my buddy there, and they're just like, you got to be kidding me.
That's funny, man.
Like, yeah. So it was cool.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's just something you'll never forget.
Yeah, I won't forget
especially because it's the same guy. It's like when Travis, I don't know if you were at that tournament, but when Travis, again, a day that's just an Ivy day, couldn't be more Ivy, where Travis won Big Bass, the tournament, first place, all that. I think it was like 2022, 2021. I can't remember. Yeah. But we were just like, same shit. Hey, we're going to go. We fuck with these guys. We were both in our little paddle boats. Everybody still had all the badass fucking. We were just, showed up on 2-3 hours of sleep, and we knew where to fish Ivy. Like, we fish Ivy. We're familiar with the lake, and Travis was like, hey, we're gonna both hit a left. Back then there wasn't like cell service like there is now, so it was just complete dark for me, because I had Sprint at the time, I think before they got bought out by T-Mobile. And dude, I fished till like 12. We ended up running into each other at like a random point, and he was like, dude, I caught a 26 1/4. I was like, no, you didn't, bro. It'd have been 12 fucking pounds. He was like, hey, it was 12 fucking pounds. He showed me. I was like, dude. And he was like, how about you? I was like, I haven't caught a fish. I haven't landed a fish. I haven't got a blow up. I did nothing. He's like, oh, bro, I got like 98 inches. And like, it was like 12. And I was like, dude, there's something that's so Ivy about that. He was like, I started going. And he was like, and then, because you technically have to wait till first cast or whatever. Yeah. And he said fish were just boom, boom, boom. And he was like, oh my God.
He was waiting.
Oh my God. He was like, where's the time? And his first cast, boom, he got like 18, 19, 18. Oh, dude. And then he didn't catch any for like a couple hours, he said. And then fucking he threw the frog like right over a little log, and they have a bunch of highways out there when the water starts getting up, where like it's like in between the mesquites, there's like highways of just boulders, and that's where it was. It was in a highway, and he just said he saw it roll over, and he just said it just kept rolling. Oh he was like, oh, okay, that's fucking huge. So he set the hook, and he said he's just fucking losing his mind. He had a stupid ass little trout net. Like the little baby trout net. He said, bro, it was like folded. It's like the ass and the fucking head were out. And he was like, dude. And so anyways, he ended up winning first place, BigBass. Again, no pre-fish, no nothing. It's just that's how Ivy goes. Like you could either have an amazing day or you literally get skunked, right? Yeah. So I think, Roland, did you get skunked when we went, or you haven't been on Ivy?
Whoops.
Yeah, bro.
Definitely haven't been on Ivy.
Damn. Okay. No, we just fished around there last time you were there. So yeah, man, that's awesome, dude. Those are just those tournament days you're never gonna forget. Nope. And those guys are super, super cool. So I think that was the last tournament. Oh, and the Lonestar Throwdown, real quick. We'll kind of end on that, and then I'll ask. We ask all of our guests at the end, like for tips and tricks, but. The Lonestar Throwdown, like break that down. Like, what is that for the community of kayak anglers and in the state of Texas? Like, explain for those who don't know about it, because we're trying to grow the sport, right? So, talk to us about that.
Absolutely. So, Lonestar Throwdown, it's an annual tournament here in Texas, and it's a very big event, the biggest freshwater event in Texas. And basically, it's where all the regions come around. So, you've got the West Texas, North Texas, East Texas, South Texas. You've got all these regional teams, if you will, because it's like two tournaments in one. So it's an individual event and it's also a team event. And the team event is based on your best 5 anglers and their accumulative bags. And if you win, obviously you get the trophy, bragging rights, but you also get to pick the next year's location. So that's kind of cool. As a team, you win, you get to pick where it's going to be, as long as it can hold that kind of event, because that's what they run into. The issue is like lodging and just being able to accommodate 150 to 200 kayak anglers, trailers, parking, all that stuff. You can't just do that overnight. So
or at a small dying lake,
right? You've got and most of the time, these last 4 or 5 years, we've seen multiple different lakes in each tournament, which is cool, because it spreads us out, and we don't, because one thing about kayak fishing is we can only go so far from the ramps. So we don't have the bass boat engines, motors, the 200 Evan route on the back. We're not going 60 miles or just you're not going that far. So. We're kind of limited, so a Roadrunner event is really beneficial, and then opening up multiple lakes is nice. But yeah, it's a 2 tournaments in one, and then they got like a pre-party on Friday night. Basically, they do the captain's meeting, they cook barbecue or whatever they're cooking for everyone, and then they'll have like a little party, good little time, good camaraderie. And then Saturday, we all fish the tournament. We show back up at the weigh-in, and then they do it again. They cook for everybody. And then sometimes, like this year, they had live music. Just like a good party. Good.
And where was it at this year, the 2 lakes?
Yeah, so we had, it was actually 3. It was Lake LBJ, Inks, and Buchanan. And they had the weigh-in on Buchanan.
The reason why, and Manny and I have made it a pact. We're gonna go next year. Yeah. To help the fucking be on the South. We want to, we want to do our part for the South. Yep. We're misrepresenting the South because we cannot ever show up, but we're gonna go. It's our mission in 2025 is to go. To go. So, and Manny has been on a fucking tear on Inks. Tear. That dude is. He's honestly. The pull that he has in that central, it's funny, just because Manny's a guy, a loser about fishing like us. He moved from here for work, and he's basically found his groove fishing his way, like you mentioned, on a body of water that's down the road. And now it's like, I'm waiting for people to realize it doesn't matter where you, me, him, etc. Guys who love fishing and really care about it and are decent at the sport. It doesn't really matter where we are. We're gonna find that. You know, like I've been killing it on the only sections of water that we have left. You know, here. So it's like, I knew he was gonna find it, and now it's like he said the other day. Some 2 or 3 guys went up to him, was like, "Hey, Mister, you Manny, you the guy's been killing it out here." And he's like, "Dude, it's just fucking funny because like, remember we were river guys. We could never do this, right? We were the guy, you know. Because our favorite, still to this day, I can't believe he shut it down, but I understand it takes a lot, it takes a fucking village to run a trail. Was the Drew Gregory river bassin scene?
Yeah, river bassin.
That was the shit. That was, dude, that's awesome. Like that really represented us, and we loved it, and we had success when we were there, and we really want to get back into the tournament scene, but do it just life, the business, having kids, etc. But yeah, that's awesome. Lonestar, and I think his name Duke
Tran.
Duke Tran runs it. Cool. Yeah, I know. I'm friends with him there online.
Yep.
So that's cool, man. I mean, I want to make it to that event. I know Filetto's has been trying to get us to go out there year after year after year. He's like, bitch, y'all don't come out. Like, we gotta fucking fish against all these damn sticks. Yeah, and like, let's go. And I think Jacob fishes with the South, right?
Yeah, he
too?
fishes for South.
Oh, dude, hey, we're all up there, dude. Let's go, right?
So what's crazy about that event this year? Speaking on, so we had 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place anglers from the South, and we still lost it as a team. And it's like, man, that's crazy. We had the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th guys, and we still lost it. So that just shows, I guess, the Central had a lot more right behind. And, but until we got to our last 2 guys. But it's a cool event. It's fun.
And would you get 2nd?
I tied for 3rd.
Or what did the South get, I guess?
We got 2nd place as a team. And me and Rolando actually tied for 3rd. He had the bigger fish, so I got 4th.
Damn, dude, that's fucking sick. Yeah, we'll go. We'll make it a plan to go. We'll try to get all the guys who, I'll try to get Travis to go too.
Everybody,
bro, we gotta, dude. Because I truly believe, and we've gotten into beef in it over the past. I feel like the South has the best angler.
It's hard
when everybody can show up.
Yeah,
the South has got.
Really hard.
I'm sorry, I know the guys in Austin are good. Yeah. I just think we're better, and then we don't, and it's my fault and Manny's fault and my other friend's fault for not going and representing. So in 2025, we'll try to. He wants to go to the swim bait gathering this year. That's his goal. My goal for 2025, rather, is to go to Lonestar Throwdown with the boys.
My biggest thing though is like with swim bait gatherings that I want swim bait makers to be on the pod. It's difficult traveling wise. We don't make any income to try to bring fly them over.
This is all out of love. This is all out of like wife's bitching, pitched at me, dude. I'm in trouble. No, I'm just kidding. But like, we got to make time for it. So and it's not. We're not gonna make any money doing this for a while, right? Like, see, they turn the lights off, bro. No, man. So, anyways, dude, and I can't thank you enough for having you on, man. We'll get out of here, but let's leave the listeners with a few.
I was just gonna say because like Alan was very fortunate enough and Marshall were very fortunate enough to make the drive over here, like But it's like it's one of those things. Like after the pod ended, Alan just went home, Marshall just went home. It's just like
it's tough.
It's really tough. Like we really appreciate them for making the drive out here, But it's just in general, logistically, getting guests on this pod is fucking challenging.
Super challenging. Because we can only do it on Wednesdays or Sundays. We have to make sure, like we're not having a baby or we're not having like the holidays, pumpkin patch. You get it, bro. You get the vibe. So it's like, running a business, you're busy as hell. Like you said too, he's running a business. So it's just life's moving fast as hell. Again, we're past election season. Finally, thank God we can all just try to live normal. Right. And it's tough to get together. So I mean, we've been trying to get this one together for for
a while now.
It took me like 3 weeks to go pick up the goddamn boat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hey, I'm coming this week. No, I'm not. Hey, I'm coming. No, I'm not. So it is what it is, man. And like I said, in 2025, I'll do my best to grab as many as South representative anglers as I can, so we can. Because you look at the list too, it's like the Central. Who won? Central or North or what?
Central one.
Central. Okay. Yeah. But if you look at the angler list, they got like 72. No, I'm just kidding. They have like a lot. Yeah. They had like maybe 20 or 30 where the South had like.
We actually had good numbers for ours. I don't remember the number. I think we had the 2nd or 3rd most. But usually it's not not that way.
No.
So we actually had quite a few more people step up, which was cool. But yeah, Central took home the dub, and they only beat us by like 2 inches.
Oh,
so it was something very small, and we're like, oh my gosh,
my bad, guys. No, just kidding. We're gonna come next year. Yeah. I'm gonna get rolling on the boat because he's good for a fucking 8-pounder
that's what we need.
every 3 years, and
they're retired.
I mean, it's fishing, dude. I mean, that's why the little kids will catch the biggest ones of the day because they're the most patient.
Yeah.
Well, you feel a bite, you rip it, right?
Yeah.
And the kid is like,
Okay.
You know, so they've got a fucking 12-pounder on a worm that they barely moved. so last thing, like I said, what is like one? Let me do one tip about being on a kayak, and then one tip of just fishing in general, like that you live by or etc. Like that you would give to somebody who's maybe not ready to do the tournaments, or maybe not in the tournament scene yet, but ready to make the jump.
Right. So like we'll do the fishing one first. So one thing I could tell people is like, do not overcomplicate it and do not overthink things. Bass fishing is bass fishing. And, you know, there's so many different variables and so many things that people get caught up on. Colors, sizes. And it's just like, you're putting too many things out there for you to think about. You know what I mean? Just if you just keep it simple and you dumb it down and you just fish with what you fish with, you're gonna go out and have success. You don't really have to be thinking about all these other things that people think, because like someone will see someone set up, oh, he's catching fish, I gotta have all that. You know, and it's like, no, that's not the case. You can still go fish your style and go catch fish, and sometimes better than that person. It's just you see something and you're like, oh, I gotta have it, but you really don't. So dumb it down. Don't go out there and overcomplicate things. And a lot of people too, like I said, I don't really do much pre-fishing, and I don't do a whole lot of map study. I pick an area of the lake I want to fish, and I go fish my style, and I base it off the weather. So like, oh, if the wind's coming from the north, then I'm going to be on the opposite side. So I'm fishing the windy side. Oh, it's coming from the south, then I'm going to be on the opposite side. So just fish conditions, keep it simple, and you'll be successful. You do not need a whole lot of different things, baits, colors, all that good stuff.
Tell it to this guy right over here. He's fucking overcomplicating. The last trip we went, and sure enough, he got skunked, and I'm the only one that came out winning.
I knew you were gonna say something about chatterbaits, or I thought you were gonna say just throw a chatterbait. But yeah, dude, I like that. So to just unpack that real quick, keep it simple, stupid, right? Like fish. Stop. The thing about bass fishing is it's a lot of anglers getting caught too.
Yes, it is.
A lot.
Tons nowadays, especially.
Look at the new shiny toys.
Yep.
Look at this. Look at that. Look at this. Look at that guy's boat. Look at his truck. Look at his truck. Motherfucker, I look at somebody and I said, God damn, 12 rods, that's going to get interesting.
Yeah.
You know, I got 5. I got my same old. Yeah, my same old, whatever. Yeah. You know, fish the conditions. Okay, cool. And then now kayak wise, what do you feel like has been irreplaceable to have on the kayak in a tournament scene?
So, you know, it's not necessary, but a fishing graph as far as reading water depth and temperature. I don't really use the graph to go finding fish. I'll have it on downscan to like see bait balls and stuff, because usually if you find the bait, then there's a good chance some game fish is going to be around, bass are going to be around. So I mean, a graph, it's not necessary. You don't absolutely have to have it, but it definitely helps when you haven't seen the lake before. So like for me this year, the first thing I do, I'll wire or turn on the graph, and I'll start looking at water temperature, depth, and then certain areas. And I'm not looking, like I said, for fish. It's just I'm looking at those key features, and then I'll go find what I want to fish and have that number in mind, a certain depth and a certain water temp, and I'll go run with it. But a graph's really hard to beat, especially for people that don't get a lot of time on the water. You know what I mean? And not getting caught up in it. You know, you can put $15,000 worth of electronics on your boat, but you don't need it. It's good eyes if you've never been at the lake, and you can have a cheap graph.
You could get those little there's like a little ball that you can put on a string. I don't know the name. I know you.
Yeah. It's one that folds over. It goes in the water.
Bro, you literally can just throw it out. It tell you the temperature on your phone and the depth. Yeah. And again, if that's all the base that you need to kind of okay, let's figure it out. You can
like
all you need.
If you know seasonal patterns with bass and you know those things, oh man, you can go put yourself in a high percentage area. Whether or not it's the best lake on this or the best area on this lake, you're gonna at least put yourself around fish.
Yep, that, and I mean, I've seen, like you said, on the opposite end of people literally having the visors, the goggles, and they're literally just like they're literally looking in a screen like this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God damn, bro, you're fishing.
You're fishing.
You're out in the wild.
And I don't have anything against it.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm just saying that to me, it's not fishing.
It's not fun anymore.
It's overcomplicating it, you know, and I just, like I said, you can go out there with a couple rods, your favorite baits, and a really cheap entry level fish finder, and really be successful.
I mean, the whole task is already complicated, and you're trying to trick a fish.
Yeah, into
right?
eating it, and it's for survival. This fish is trying to eat for surviving, and we're trying to trick it into eating.
You're trying to do it to have him on an Instagram post. Yeah, check this.
Yeah,
He's like, what the fuck? I thought I was just getting breakfast, right? So, all right, man. I appreciate having you. Or I appreciate you coming on. But one last time, give them, all the info where they can find you for the rigging and outfitting of kayaks.
And the business.
The business.
Yeah, so I'm located in New Braunfels, Texas. JMOCs Kayak Rigging and Repair. I have a Facebook and Instagram. I just started with. The Instagram's kind of weak at the moment. I've only got like 2 videos on there. But
we'll plug it. Yeah,
but
so
Facebook,
what's the handle?
What is it? I'm gonna have to pull it up actually.
Yeah, pull it up. Whatever. Do it. We'll cut it out. Put it up.
Anyway, so but you can really find me on Facebook. That's where I post most of my info. JMOCs Kayak Rigging and Repair. And like I said, I'm in New Braunfels, and a lot of times, it's like, I can work with people if they're kind of too far out, meeting them halfway. I'm really accommodating. I'm really communicative. So, and all that's very essential to run a very successful business. You have to have good communication skills. But
dude, that was another thing that we didn't touch on. We can touch on later. But the biggest thing that I find annoying is when people blame XYZ why their business failed, and they have failed to adapt. They have failed to change to the times.
Yeah.
And they just think because you're a business, you're supposed to be successful. There's been nothing more annoying to me when it comes politically, economically, etc., than the last 4 to 6 years, people using that as an excuse to not adapt.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
I'm like, dude, you gotta put in the fucking time.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you coming on, man. Hit him up. This dude is the man. He's again accommodating. He knows what he's doing on the water, and I appreciate you coming on, big dog.
Man, I appreciate it. I really do, the opportunity and coming on here and talking kayak fishing. Man, this is what I love. This is what I dream of. So I could talk about this for hours and hours.
Yeah, we'll do like a boat version later.
Just like strictly boats.
Strictly
kayaks,
boats. Maybe he'll come out to
fun.
your spot and have a video there with something that you're rigging up. So
that would be really fun. And we could talk about rigging in certain ways and giving people ideas. It'd be sweet.
He's always wanted to do one on the water, and you're right there, basically
there.
at Human's Beach. So
I have access right down the way, walking distance. So we could easily put in. We could even do a pod probably on the water, like on the dock right there, and have the background in the water.
Oh my god!
Because they got electrical out there and everything.
Dude,
so.
Roland's head's running through. Fucking, he's ready to go. Sounds good, man. We'll appreciate you.
Absolutely.
And we'll catch you on the next one. Unpacking Yakking. We'll see you. Nice.